And welcome back, everybody, to episode 4 of the Midwest Contractor. It's been a while. It's great to be back. After some audio trouble this morning, it looks like we're good to go. Got up and got moving pretty early this morning, and as you can see there, we just had a visitor. It was time to put some fuel in this tank. We've got some tractors that are going to be thirsty. They're going to be needing it, so we've got 5,000 and, 5 liters of diesel fuel. We've got a couple contracts this morning. One of them is a baling contract, which we've got underway, and the other one is a fertilizing contract that I have spared you the agony of watching me yet again fertilize a fully grown cornfield. But as you can see, the contract is completed. The tractor with the fertilizer spreader is on its way back and should be here shortly. We had a bit of rain this morning that held us up a little bit, but that only lasted for about an hour and we're back to work. So as soon as the tractor gets back with the fertilizer spreader, we'll drop it, we'll grab the tedder, and we'll head over to the field where the mower is hard at work, and we'll start making some hay. Okay, and we're back. Like I said, we're going to go ahead and dump this fertilizer spreader off. We'll pick up the tedder and head over to the field where we're making some hay. I think for now we'll just drop this spreader here because we're going to definitely need it to fertilize our oat fields. Plus things are getting a little cramped inside the shed there. All right. Yeah, I believe I mentioned in the last video that I went to the trouble of purchasing a Thrustmaster SimTask steering wheel, pedals, and joystick kit. And sad to say, it's just isn't working for me. I could have saved a bunch of money. You know, it's really, really good equipment. Absolutely nothing wrong with it. It's just not for me. I guess I just seem to really enjoy playing with my controller and my mouse and my keyboard. Okay, so this is headed over to the field 97 where we're making hay. Get over here and check on the progress of our mower. Interesting. Well, it's mowing along. Just not certain how it's doing this. Uh-oh. I think I see what the problem is. Yeah, for whatever reason, Courseplay just tends to choke on some of these offset tools. And I notice it doesn't have this problem with everything, but some of this stuff it just seems to really struggle with, and I'm not quite sure why. So it looks like we're going to have a little bit of cleanup to do here when this is all said and done. Okay, well, it'll be what it'll be, I guess, and we'll just let it go ahead and do its thing. Alright, well, we're almost here with the tedder. We'll drop this off and head back and grab the old windrower. I suppose while we're at it, we could probably go ahead and collect our fertilizing contract. May as well get that out of the way, get that money in the bank. And get you headed back to the shop. Off you go. Excellent. All right, let's go ahead and collect that contract. See what we got here. 33,000. Decent. Good amount of money. Okay. Gets us up to $96,000. Why don't we take a look in used vehicle sales, used vehicle equipment sales, and see what's here. A lot of the same old stuff. There's that Massey Ferguson I still wouldn't mind having, but yet it's a little underpowered. And another small Ford. We don't need that. Skid steer, I already have one of those. Yeah, not looking like it, is it? Okay, so be it then. Not a problem. We'll just continue to sit on our moldy money. I believe I mentioned in one of the first videos that this area, the area represented by this map, is in kind of north central Ohio, an area very close to where I live currently. And here we are, the spring of the year. It's the middle of May, and the farmers have had absolutely no opportunity to get into their fields, to work ground, let alone even plant anything, simply because the weather has just been atrocious. It's been horrible. It has done nothing but rain. We can't get 2 dry days in a row to get anything accomplished. So sadly, it's gonna kind of be a struggle. I just hope it dries out soon and these guys can get into these fields and start getting some work done. We did actually have a couple of dry days this past week, and when I was out driving around, I noticed tractors just everywhere. These guys were working ground, planting corn, and yeah, it's definitely going to be a struggle this year. Now everything's green. That's one nice thing. The winter wheat that was planted last fall is doing phenomenal. It's basically at full height already, and it's completely headed out. And I'm actually even noticing a little discoloration forming right near the ground. So believe it or not, we're only about a month away from that stuff being harvested. That's just hard to believe. And the traditional grains, the soybeans, the corn that this area is known for, the farmers have yet to be able to even plant it. So as I said, hopefully that the weather will improve soon. These guys will have a chance to get in their fields. Now, in spite of the fact that it's giving me fits in terms of cutting it, it is kind of a cool looking mower. I like this setup. As I mentioned, when I was driving down out in the country this past week, I actually saw one of these tractors sitting in a kind of a overhang lean-to out behind a farmer's barn, and looks like it looked about like this one. It was looking pretty dirty, but it definitely looks like it has been running and does run. All right, looks like our Ford is back to the shop. Let's go ahead and get over to it and see about getting our windrower. May as well get that out to the field too and get it ready to go. And I think one of the things I want to do here real quick is open this door up. Got our pickup truck in here a little tight. When I get out of it, I spawn right into that staircase there. I think we'll grab the pickup here and we'll grab our bale trailer. We're definitely going to be needing it. Not quite sure what I'm going to do here. Obviously, this isn't necessarily the time of year to be the peak price for selling bales. That's typically in January, any sort of bales at all. So we could and we're going to get about 30% of these bales roughly. We could go ahead and just sell everything, pocket the money now, or depending on the amount that's left over after the contract is completed, maybe we'll just stick them in our bale storage and sell them when the price is good. I guess we'll just kind of wait and see what we got and what it looks like. Field 97. That's one bad thing about using Autodrive. Yeah, you never learn your way around the map. field 97. It's just down here. Oh, right there. Okay. All right. We'll just follow that forward. So one of the things that has come up between the last episode and this episode is my son has talked me into buying/building a new gaming computer. It's kind of interesting. The one that I have here now, you'll probably notice, graphics aren't excellent. The frame rate's a little hiccupy. He actually assembled this for me out of spare parts that he had laying around in his house. He's been building computers ever since he was a teenager, and he was visiting me when I was playing Farming Simulator on a Microsoft Surface Pro, and he said, "Dad, that's terrible." And the next time he came back to visit, he brought me a computer assembled from a bunch of parts that were laying around. And I have to say, it's been a pretty good machine. Threw in a couple of solid state drives, and the next thing you know, you've got a decent computer. But it is old. Most of the components in it are pretty old, and it's probably time, especially if I'm going to be doing this and recording episodes, creating content. Probably need something a little more durable, a little more dependable, a little more reliable. So we're gonna go ahead and I've already spec'd one out and sent the specs to my son, and of course he changes everything and sends it back to me, and then I start asking questions and it changes again. But I think we've finally settled on a rig that should set me up for a good long time. I'm just amazed when I see the components that go into these PCs today, and just how easy they are to acquire, and how inexpensive some of these parts are, and just how easily everything fits together. It just amazes me when I compare that to my first computer buying experience when I was in my early 20s, and I was buying my first PC that was called a Leading Edge. If anyone is familiar with that brand, they kind of were the first real hot thing before Gateway became the next hottest thing. And I think the cool thing about Leading Edge at the time was the reason why they were so popular was because they came with or had as a free piece of software a word processor. It was called Loop, Leading Edge Word Processor. And I remember, everyone in college used it. Our computer labs, we had, umpteen leading edge computers, all with leading edge Loop on it, and we had word processing class, and we learned on Loop. So, of course, the first thing I do after I get out of college is I want to buy a computer, and what do? I go for the brand that I'm familiar with, with the software that I'm familiar with. This was way back in the day before Windows was even. In fact, interestingly enough, when I purchased that computer, the young man who sold it to me, he goes, "Hey, if you're interested," he goes, "there's this really cool operating system that Microsoft just came out with. It's called Windows, and it comes with a bundle pack, and it's got Microsoft Paint, and it's got a spreadsheet called Excel." And everyone's like, "Well, what's Excel? I mean, who cares about Excel? Lotus is the thing. Lotus is the thing. Lotus is the king, right?" And it's got this word processor called Microsoft Word. And I said, "You know what? Yeah, I'll take that. Why not?" And of course, I installed it, and I was just really, really fascinated, with the wonderful, high-tech 16-color monitor that I had. Just how easy on the eyes this whole thing was, and I had a mouse and was able to select icons, from folders. And I thought, wow, this is really, really neat. I wonder if anything like this will ever take off. Well, isn't that funny? Other interesting kind of funny story about that was I really thought that was pretty fascinating. So I went out and I bought a few shares of Microsoft stock at the time. And I think maybe paid like $8, $10, $12 a share for that stuff. And then I remember thinking at one point in the not too distant future, hey, you know what? This is all gimmicky. This thing's never going anywhere. I sold the stock. Yep, that's the way it goes, right? Okay. Oh, good. Our windrower has arrived. We'll go ahead and get it up here and get it ready to hook up as well. And we just need one more component. We need a baler. So I'm going to go ahead and send the Ford back to grab it. And, or actually, no. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to wait till the mower's done, and I'll just send the mower back, and we'll bring the baler back down. Otherwise, we're going to have everything down here, and I'm going to spend an hour just running back and forth, returning all the pieces parts. All right, so this is going to be a while. I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to spare you guys the burden of watching paint dry, and I will be back to you when we're finishing up the mowing. Okay, welcome back in, everybody. Just finishing up the mowing here. Looking pretty good. One last strip, clean up. Wasn't too bad. Had a little ring around the outside and a couple of missed bits, but overall not too bad at all. For whatever reason, though, as I mentioned earlier, the width and the offset on this thing just don't seem to be what they should be. Might have to play with that a little bit off camera, see if I can fine tune it a little bit. This obviously ended up taking far longer than it really needed to. But anyway, we've got it cut and we're all set. So that's the last bit of it right there. So let's shut off our mower, get it raised up, get it folded up, and then we can probably get this headed back to the shop, get it put away, and we'll grab our baler. Okay. Got the Ford all set up with the tedder. It's all ready to go. And off you go. It's not going to take too long, about 40 minutes. I was noticing there, I was reviewing that first segment while we were finishing the mowing up, and I need to be conscious of something. I notice I'm constantly darting the camera around when I'm in a vehicle, which is absolutely miserable to watch. And so I shall endeavor to do better and not make you guys seasick. Okay, let's check on the progress of our case. It's headed back to the barn. Ooh, looks like we might need to put some fuel in this thing when we get back. Well, we can do that. Yeah, I really do like this map. I love the variation of the field sizes and just the variety that it offers in terms of field shapes and sizes, locations. Most of the fields are irregularly shaped. Even if they're square or rectangle, there are, you'll find that one edge of them is irregular, or they'll have like a cutout where it's just like a blank piece of land that may have a tree or two in it and some tall grass and some bushes, which again, if you don't live in this area, you can't really appreciate it. But I just love on the map how the map maker has taken the time to put in those little details, because you do see that a lot here, especially where when dozens of years ago, decades ago, 100 years ago, when these farms were small, they were family farms. You would go a half a mile or a mile, and there'd be a house, and in between homes there'd be a field, and everybody had their little piece, and everybody farmed it. Well, now as with everything, farms are consolidating, and it's funny. I have a really good friend who farms, and he and his brother farm, and they're just sitting somewhere north of about 1,000 acres that they farm, and they buy these farms, and of course a lot of these farms that they buy have buildings on them, have homes on them, and as you see, I mean, the people buy these farms for the tillable acreage, and then a lot of times what they'll do is simply either sell off the small parcel with a home on it, or just tear it down and get rid of it. The next thing you know, you've got this blank square patch of grass that's sitting, on the edge of a field. And again, the map maker here has done a really good job reflecting that. As you drive around this map, you see the same thing. All right, full. Let's see how we did here. Wow. Well, we used a whopping 100 liters. 5,000 liters should last us a while, unless and until we start buying bigger equipment. Now, it looks like we might end up getting a straw bale out of here first. Okay, we'll send this back to the field. I may as well go ahead and ride along with it in cab. This will keep me from, as I mentioned earlier, fidgeting with the camera. All right, bring this baler over here and just kind of park it off to the side. Okay, I think we're going to go ahead and do another jump cut. I'm going to let you guys go, and I will be back with you as we are finishing up the tedding. Okay, we're wrapping up our tedding here. I've decided to go ahead and run around this outside, pick the strip up, make sure this stuff's completely tedded. I don't want to get into this and have the windrower fuss with it, or end up with a grass bale. That wouldn't do us any good. Sitting here thinking, I think there's a trailer hitch on the back of the RTV. I might send it down here to grab some of this equipment. It's not doing anything. It's just sitting back at the trailer. Okay, let's get a course set up. Saving simulator. Okay, 6.5. Drop it down a little bit. Don't need that many headlands. What we are going to do, I think we're going to do 3. Start working on the up-down rows. That way, when we assign the course to the baler, it can start on those inside rows and not have a bunch of bales piled up at the ends of the rows for the tractor to get hung up and stuck on. All right, I better make this a little bit bigger. I cheated a little bit with the mower and took the field margin out there a little ways, and cut a little extra grass. Who knows, maybe the accumulated total of that will get us an extra bale or so. First waypoint. Let's get to work. All right. 35 minutes. Oh, and I did, as you'll see out here, I did decide on a plowing contract. I took field 13, which is right over here, and I think what we'll do, it's only about midday game time or in game, so I think we'll finish up this baling contract, and then I will start that plowing contract before I leave you for this episode, and we'll have that one completed before we start our harvesting contracts in November. And as I took those harvesting contracts, I was sitting here thinking about it, realizing that in November we have a field of soybeans, and it's probably going to be ready as well. So yeah, we'll have to deal with that. But given that we're not playing with seasons on and crops don't wither, I mean, we could play a little bit of a game with that and leave that sit for a couple of months, because obviously the absolute worst time to sell soybeans is November, December timeframe. We could let that field sit for a couple of months, perhaps harvest it, and allow the price to recover a little bit. All right, I'm going to check on that RTV. I want to see if maybe I can get that thing to come back over here, and I think I'm going to go ahead and send this down to the field, and we'll see about possibly bringing back the tedder. At least we can get some of that stuff back home. My driving leaves a lot to be desired. I was, you should have seen me play Grand Theft Auto. I have to say, GTA 5, I really enjoyed that game. It was just so entertaining. But I can't tell you how many of those segments I had to play multiple times because my driving was just horrible, and I couldn't drive to save my life. Kind of like right now. I don't know why. Every time well, not every time, but most times when I play this game, I end up buying one of these or a John Deere Gator, and I have absolutely no idea why because I hardly ever use them. But they're just, I mean, how can you own a farm and not have an RTV or a Gator, right? I mean, you got to have something. Okay, let's see if we can get hooked up to this thing and get it back to the yard. Might have come down here for nothing. We'll see. Obviously, we're not going to... Yeah, there you go. I guess we don't need to send it back to get the windrower. We can just send the Ford back. In fact, what I may do, I may send the Ford back with the windrower, hook up to the plow, and we'll get started on that plowing contract. Go out here, park in the shade. And we'll have our RTV ready for us when we need to head home this evening. Check out our windrower. Yeah, it's going to town. Pretty good. Looks like it's got about 21 minutes left. I don't know if I mentioned, I typically, when I use Courseplay to work on fields, I typically skip a row. I noticed that it takes less time, or seems to take less time, with the vehicle turning around, so on and so forth. I don't know if it does. I don't know if it really does save time. I guess to me it just seems like that it does. And a lot of equipment, you know, if you cut enough headlands or big enough headlands, you know, you won't lose time with the equipment constantly backing up. It'll actually complete a row, turn, and start the next row. I noticed that a lot with plowing and cultivating and such. And two, with this, when you, I don't know how many people are aware of this, but a lot of times it just seems like it takes forever for this equipment to turn. And, you know, if you come in here into your settings for Courseplay, up below your Courseplay, or your, the bottom Courseplay menu for your equipment, and you go all the way to the bottom, you'll see speeds. You've got your field work speed, your field speed, your turn speed, and your reverse speed. And typically the turn and reverse speeds are set at like 5 miles an hour and like 3 miles an hour respectively. And I go ahead and ramp them up to, 8, 9, 10 miles an hour on the turn, and reverse, 5, 6, 7 miles an hour. And you'd be surprised over the course of working in a field, it actually does save a ton of time without all that, without taking so long to turn and reverse and so on and so forth. All right, we are wrapping up the windrowing here. Looks pretty good. We've got what's left of this lap and one more, and we can start baling. In fact, I think I'm gonna jump out of the tractor up here, jump into the International, and load this course up for the baler so we can get started. Windrow 97, load, activate. Yeah, I think I mentioned I tend to save all my courses. It's just easier for me. I know a lot of people don't bother to save them, but once I go through all the trouble of setting them up, I kind of like to be able to recall them if I end up working a field multiple times. In addition, when you're doing stuff like this where you're windrowing and you're using that same windrow course for your baler, or when you're harvesting and you're using your harvesting course for your baler, it's just so much easier if I remember to save the course. So many times before I started saving courses, I'd finish harvesting a field, I'd delete the course, and I'd be like, oh no, and I have to run the baler through the field by myself, which as I said, I typically don't do that. I'm a far better farm manager than I am a farm technician. Alrighty then. That did a pretty good job. When we go ahead and send this bad boy back to the yard, I guess we'll just use the truck to pick up the bales. Not that I would want to drive my truck through that field, but for expediency purposes, hey, it is still a game, right? Tell you what I think we're going to do here. We've got some decent money. We haven't spent any. I know, part of the appeal of these series is to actually make progress, right? I can't say as though we've made a ton of progress. Let's see. Do I want a still pressure washer or a Karcher pressure washer? I kind of like this little guy right here. I think we're gonna go with this. Yeah, right in front of the window, so I can hit him with my truck when I back up to get my trailer. Right. There we go. All right. Perfect. Now when that dirty Ford gets back here, we can clean it up a little bit. Start cleaning up the rest of this stuff too. Oh yeah, we're laying down bales. And at a snail's pace too. Jeez, 6 miles an hour. Oh boy. And this thing doesn't exactly unload at lightning speed either. Just about back. And we'll clean up the Ford and the windrower, get it put away. And I think I will, I'll clean it up. And then I'm going to send it out to get dirty again. Hook up to the plow. Okay. Start back here. Since you see here the tractor's filthy, but the tires aren't. Oh my Lord, look at that. And see, that's something else. So the wear is just horrendous on this machine. It looks terrible. And if I let it go, it'll get completely silver. Watch this. Where? And boom, just like that. We got a nice blue tractor again. Yeah, I know, that's cheating. See, I don't have to do that with any of the other ones. Just this one, for whatever reason. Send this down and let's see where is our go ahead and go. It won't be at exactly the right field, but we'll be across the street from it. No big deal. So I might have mentioned, or I did mention earlier about how I think this map maker got it right when he laid out these little kind of vacant areas that suggest, places where homesteads once stood. And here's another thing that you see, just like this over here. You have this nice section in between fields that again represents where a homestead probably or likely stood at one time. You'll notice there's no home, but the barn's still there. And that's something else you see a lot, is they'll rip the house down, but they keep the barns. Obviously those things are pretty valuable and pretty useful. Okay, now we're cooking. Let's see how long this is going to take. Not that it matters. 2 hours. Actually, we might not be done hauling bales in 2 hours. That's okay. I didn't intend to keep this episode going until this was done anyway. This will just get us some extra money. So it won't be too bad. It'll be about 3 in the afternoon by the time we're done. All right. We're doing well. I think what I'm going to do is leave you guys one more time and let this work, and I will rejoin you when we're ready to start picking up bales. Well, hello everybody. We've just about got things wrapped up here. We're on our last headland with the baler. We've produced so far, let's see, it says 70. Actually, there were 20. So we've produced 50 bales so far, and we've still got half of a headland to go. I've delivered one full load of bales to the animal dealer, which ended up being 61% of the total amount that we have to deliver, and we only have to deliver 74% to complete the contract. So we're going to make some money today. And the second full load of bales has just arrived at the animal dealer. So with what's on here, we will complete the contract and start making some money. And I did check, interestingly enough, price-wise here, the hay, as you can see, we're not too far off the top. The best prices in January, and we're sitting pretty close to it. So, yeah, I think we're gonna go ahead and cash in. There's no sense in hanging on to these bales. So we're gonna get something off of this load, and we'll get there's probably one more full load left on the field yet, and then undoubtedly there will be a handful, 2 or 3 left over, because that's how it always works, right? So I'm going to let this finish before I go ahead and sell the bales that we have at the animal dealer now. I really need to do some testing on this, but I've come to the conclusion with contracts, you're best off if you can wait to start delivering product, or wait to start delivering product over and above what's necessary to complete the contract until you have all the field work done. Because and again, I need to test this, but I have a sneaking suspicion that what ends up happening is if you start delivering product in excess of the product needed to complete the contract, like in this case 74%, if we start delivering product before the field work is done, I think the excess product that we deliver counts toward the percentage completion of the contract. So therefore, like up in the top there where it says we're 69% complete, if we were to stop right now and not make one more bale, there's a good chance we would have to deliver, or we would end up delivering more than 74% of the product to complete the contract, to get it to 100% completion. Then we really should have to deliver. So again, I know it sounds convoluted. It's much more apparent, I think, when you're harvesting and delivering grains. But I just have always had the sense that if you complete the field work before you deliver product past what's necessary to complete the contract, you tend to make out the best. Again, I could just be paranoid. Yeah, 72. So when it was all said and done, we ended up creating 52 bales, and our trailer holds 17. Okay, we're not getting another bale out of it. All right, so this bad boy's done. We'll go ahead and shut that off. Get that out of the way. So we may as well go ahead and send this back. There's no other tools here, so we can get this back to the yard, get it cleaned up, and get it put away. And let's jump on over to the truck here and see what we've got. Oh, and we're going to end up having to get a new bale trailer too. This thing, for whatever reason, this thing hops around on the road. I just noticed it when it was driving over here. Don't quite understand that. Kind of stinks. I kind of like this beat up old trailer. Whoop. It's tight in here. That's one thing that drives me crazy about these bale sales places, or for some reason the triggers are always so small, and typically you've got these big trailers full of bales. You'd think they'd give you a little bit more room to unload this stuff. Yeah, that's my rant. Okay, and there we go. And we made $2,928. So the contract's completed, but I won't collect it till we get all of our bales off of there. And you'll notice on our plowing contract, we're already at 53% and cruising right along. I'll hop over there for a second. Yeah, not too bad. So field's about this size, easy for us. But then again, looking at the number of plowing contracts and the value of them, definitely think, there's a lot of money in plowing contracts. It would be worth buying some big equipment and trying to really rake in some bucks. So trying to decide what I want to make a priority in this series. I think that's going to be it. As lucrative as everything is, the harvesting contracts with the equipment we have is very labor intensive, and of course harvesters are just stupid expensive. These baling contracts are great, but again, with the equipment we have, you take a look at the time in game, and I've been running it pretty close to real time. It's been on one or even two most of the session, and it's almost 2 o'clock in the afternoon in game, and we actually started, I think it was somewhere around 9 or 9:30 this morning. So that's a pretty long time to cut, ted, rake, and bale a field, and we're still not done yet. We've still got one more load and a few bales to get off that field. Let's pick up another load the easy way. I just wonder how many of you are watching this video or these videos, and you're sitting here and you're going, let's see. There we go. There's one thing about these auto load trailers. If you're not careful, you've got bales floating in the air and off to the left or to the right. Oh, maybe we will get all these bales off of here in one load. Yeah, it looks like there's only 3 left. Yeah, exactly. Wow. How about that? Cool. 17 bales 3 times. Not bad. Yeah, I was actually finishing up the baling, and I happened to see a truck in the distance going down the road, and I was watching the tail end of the trailer bouncing up in the air, just kind of like it did right there. Yeah, there you go. Huh. That's weird. That is so weird. Oh well. It'll make it. Made it last time. Let's go ahead and get this, go ahead and get some equipment cleaned up with our new pressure washer. Yeah, not bad looking. Gee, it's amazing how nice everything starts looking. Get it washed off. Awesome. Well, since we do have all of our product off the field, I guess I can go out to this contract here and complete it and accept it. So, wow, how about that? 28,870. We're rolling right along, folks. And we've got about another 30,000 coming from this plowing contract that we're finishing up. So yeah, we're looking pretty good. We're going to get a few more dollars for the bales that we've got on the trailer. So, and we're just getting here. Yeah, there's not a ton of money in this hay, but hey, even if we get about 10 grand, it makes it a pretty, just about that. Just about $10,000, somewhere close to that is what we ended up with. So let's take a look at where we're at in terms of numbers today. So wow, 71,000 today. That's a pretty good day. 62,000 in contract income, 10,007 in sold bales, and we've got another 31,000 coming. So we're gonna have a $90,000 day here. Yeah, that works out. Or $100,000, excuse me. Yeah, we're gonna be right at 100 grand. I mean, I think we're definitely definitely to the point. We're gonna have about 165,000 in the bank. I would say we can definitely start to consider upgrading some equipment. Oh boy, I think maybe he ought to slow down. Holy buckets! Look at this. What's going to happen when he hits this corner up here? Oh, he's going to slow down. Alrighty. Yeah, we'll just ride along in the truck. Soak up some air conditioning. It's been a long day. It's kind of hot. We'll get this bale trailer parked up, check in on our plow one more time, and then I think we're going to call it an episode. Take one more look at what's going on in our field over here. Yeah, we're just cooking right along. All right, AI worker Sarah, and she's got exactly 49 minutes left to go. So obviously I'm not going to bore you with 49 minutes of plowing. So I think we're going to leave it be. I want to thank all of you again for joining me, and I look forward to seeing all of you in the next episode. If you liked what you saw today, I'd appreciate knowing about it. Give me a thumbs up. If you didn't like what you saw today, well, I'd appreciate knowing that too. Please leave me a comment below. Let me know how I can improve. And if you're not a subscriber, you haven't, I'd like to ask you to consider subscribing. If you feel as though the content is worthy, you can help out the channel. So thanks again, folks. I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful day.